Welcome back to Retro Wednesday, the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about a few different topics that people have requested videos asking about this kind of stuff, and stuff I want to talk about, and I want to make content, but there's not enough meat on the bone for any one topic, so I'm going to talk about several topics in this retro video because it does deal with vintage selling and vintage sellers. But the first topic we are going to talk about are my buying tips. How to buy on. Somebody specifically asked about eBay. How do you get good deals on eBay? So I will talk about all of that. And I've done that with the G.I. Joe video. This one's going to be Transformers. Then a little bit of everything else that I kind of look at and just talk about some stuff going on there. Next, we are going to talk about why sellers are quitting. Yes, you see Uncle Tim over there in the second row on the left there. That's Uncle Tim. Yep. Somehow he popped up when I searched for resellers quitting. And I guess he talks about that stuff. And then lastly, I'm going to discuss something else that is sort of new. And Texas is starting taxing seller fees on sites like eBay, Poshmark, Etsy. And what most people are going to say is, oh, it doesn't affect me, but it might in the future. It actually might right now. We'll talk about this more coming up. Right, first selling tip is you got to know the market value of your item. So I've got a lot of stuff to say about this. Number one, if you're looking at eBay, eBay is still the Lee's action figure toy price guide of the 2025. In the 90s, we had multiple things. There was Toy Fair, there was Lee's action figure toy review, there were a few other ones. By the way, Lee's action figure toy review sold a ton of stuff that is in pristine condition. I bought a few of his items, by the way. Which is interesting. Like an old action figure magazine, they had a bunch of stuff and sold a bunch of stuff. Interesting stuff there. And getting into this here, we're going to look at Ultra Magnus here. What's he worth? Somebody paid $144.50. Now, the top one, now here's another tip. If you're looking at value, eBay doesn't always tell you if somebody cut a deal. It says or best offer. Somebody could have offered $120 and this seller took it, but doesn't always put a line through it. Now, sometimes it will. If you click on it and the price changes, it goes down. That's what it was accepted at. It used to be more transparent, and the eBay used to like throw it in your face. They'd send you an email and say, you missed this. Someone bought it for $120. So that doesn't happen as much anymore, or even at all. I think they don't want you to know how low it sold for because they want you to think, oh, it sold for $144, so the next one that pops up, I need to pay $150. So you can't always trust all that. One did not sell for $125. You also have to look, do you want complete? Are you okay with some of these Transformers that have 3 missiles? 2 is all you really need. Are you okay with just having 2 in your collection? Do you have to have the extra third one to, I don't know, store in a baggie somewhere? So you have to decide all this stuff for yourself. Price-wise, there's a good one there for ones that went for $75. I'm looking at Ultra Magnus because we've got that Missing Link one coming out. And it's going to be like $150 or $70, or I'm not even sure what I'm going to end up having to pay for mine. But I've already got a vintage one, and looking at prices of vintage ones, a lot of people are like, well, if a vintage one costs more than a Missing Link, then I should just be buying the Missing Link anyway. And yeah, Magnus will flip that script because of the price. But you can see probably about 70 to 80 bucks you can get one that's maybe not 100% complete. Maybe you don't have both pelvises. You're supposed to have 2 of the white pelvis pieces to make it complete. But there's one around there that looks pretty darn complete for 71 bucks. We got to get it from Canada, so you're going to have to wait a long time. It's hard to get through customs in U.S.-Canada border these days, and it's taking a long time. It is what it is, but that's one way to get a cheaper one. Let's say you want to get one in a box or whatever. Maybe you're going to get this one here. It's at $13.50, and you're planning on getting it for $55 or $81 or whatever. I don't know. I got a few things to point out to you about this. Number one, if you are going to buy something like this, you need to know what's available on the market right now. So is there something available on the market for $71 and that's what you want to pay? Chances are this will probably go higher than that. Auctions will probably go higher than a $71 one, especially if it's mid in the box and it's got a really nice styrofoam and all that kind of stuff, and it's complete. So getting a loose complete one is probably going to be cheaper than going for this. So by the time this auction ends, you might not have the option for that $71 one that we were talking about. The next thing I want to talk about is that when you start looking at auctions, so look over there, that's going to end Saturday at 11:04 p.m. And so there's a few things that I do, my tips and tricks, my pro tips here. I will set a timer on my phone for 10:54, 10 minutes prior to it closing down. Now, a couple things I look at when the timer goes off. First off, did the price go past what I want to pay? If I only want to pay 80, is it already at 112? I'm just going to turn my timer off and go about my business. And then the next thing is this thing, my timer, is it set right? So it goes off 10 minutes prior, but does it say 9 minutes and 41 seconds left? Well, adjust your timer. You got time, 10 minutes to adjust your timer. Plus, you can pull away from whatever you're working on or whatever you're doing. And like, okay, I got 10 minutes to pull away from what I'm doing to go be part of this so I don't miss out on it. Put a priority for this. And I actually did this method at work. I was helping in a distro when I bought a swoop. My alarm went off and I was like, cool, I got 5 more minutes. I can knock out probably about a couple hundred more dishes. That's just how good I am. And then I could go in the office and buy my swoop. I did that with a swoop once in a restaurant that I was helping out. And if you can handle it, if you got enough speed on your device, between 8 and 5 seconds before it's over is when you want to bid. But if you don't have much speed, then 10 to 12 seconds, give it enough time to process. I've lost some by going to 4 seconds. I lost a really good deals by going to 4 seconds. Next up, by lots. You can buy these lots on eBay, or like I got a really great deal for G.I. Joe, but that's a once in a 5-year deal for me on the G.I. Joe stuff. I may never see a deal like that again for the rest of my life. It is what it is. And I don't even want to get into, I know a time will come in my life where those deals will come up, but it's a very, very sad time. I don't want to talk about right now. Sad for a lot of other people and myself. So I don't want to talk about that yet, but there will be a time in my lifetime that deals like that start popping up far too frequently, and it will be sad. But buying lots on eBay, it's a good thing. One of the things about this, when you buy these lots, you have to understand with the mindset, you're probably going to have to fix some of this stuff. You're probably going to have to do a little bit of surgery here. You're going to have to be like a Doc, you're going to have to be like Ratchet, you're going to have to be like Wheeljack, you're going to have to be able to fix these transformers yourself. And with that, something I've gotten used to doing, I've actually broken transformers that I was trying to fix as I was fixing them. So you have to be mindful of all of that. And sometimes the stuff won't go together all the way. Sometimes the parts have been too used and abused to transplant. And once you take it apart, they do break more. But all said, $208 for what's in this lot. This is easily $300 or $400 worth of stuff. Going back to this picture, the other thing, another tip is sometimes you can buy 2, and I guess this picture doesn't show it. You can buy 2, if you're looking for an Ultra Magnus, you can buy 1 for 30 and 1 for 40, and they add up to 70, and you can get one piece together all the way by buying multiples. So that's another option. So let's get into another character. All right, let's look at Shockwave. Shockwave goes for some money. You know, if he's in the box, and then he's got his styrofoam, no cardboard there. Well, cardboard for the box, but styrofoam on the inside. But complete and working, 150. I remember him being expensive when I was collecting them in the early aughts. And I was like, wow, people want like 50 or 60, and oh man, almost $80 for one of these working. That's crazy. And I was buying them for like $20, and getting a couple that worked was a lot of fun. So, is what it is. Nowadays, things are a lot different. Prices are higher. Maybe you don't need the electronics to work, so the one on the bottom for $37 is just right up your alley. This thing has a lot of breakage points that are just all over. The waist breaks, the arms break, just so many breakage points. But if you're not concerned about electronics working because it's going to be on your shelf, you're not going to wander over and squeeze his crotch and get him to light up for you, then you could save a lot more money if you're not worried about electronics. But a lot of these electronics, you have capacitors and stuff that go out that maybe you can replace. That's a little bit beyond where I'm willing to go these days. Next transformer thing I want to talk about is a baseline of, it says Jazz in there, but this is Prowl. I searched for Prowl. Prowl's a tough one to get for a lot of reasons. The number one reason Prowl's so hard to get is because A, he's white, and the white fades. So the plastic pieces fade. The paint chips. What you get is a jacked up looking figure, but all the carbots. So, I mean, I guess you could lump Jazz into that same issue. All these carbots have the breakage of the head, neck, and the windshield top roof of the car piece break, because that's a easy breakage point. So to get a nice minty one is going to be tough, and that's why I want to point that out. What's it going for 60? Some people are trying to get $200 out of a minty one, and I'm guessing this one that keeps popping up for 60 is probably, it says original, so I don't know what's going on. It keeps popping up for 60. But I mean, why doesn't someone buy that? $80 for a nice one down there, 100% complete, repaired. Somebody had to perform a repair to it. Are you okay with the repair? And then you go down lower, and then there's all the complete ones for $220. So, it is what it is. The reality of this is all the things I talked about applying to Prowl, but Prowl and Magnus both, and the Jazz have that issue where they could yellow with the white plastic and paint scratching. Next topic, let's move into talking about why sellers are quitting, why resellers are quitting, and all this kind of stuff. I do watch a couple of like reseller kind of videos. It's kind of fun and interesting, but with this, I searched a couple of people when I was looking for certain topics, and I just kind of stuck with them. Just, it's fun to hear what's going on, and a lot of them are quitting. I mean, it's serious. People are quitting left and right. Not only that, but I follow 38. So I did the count, 38. I thought it was 50. It's 38. 12 have nothing listed anymore that I used to buy stuff from, and 8 now have like 3 or 4 items that I think are just lingering. They never just took them down. If it sells, whatever, they'll put it off their shelf and mail it off. So there's a lot of reasons why I think this is going on. Number one, I think that people are back to work after the pandemic, and trying to swing both for so long, it's tough. Like when I was still working full-time and I sold a few things on the side, but I got to tell you that it was hard to find the time to list, and I'm going to say this now, it takes a long time to list a pile of stuff you got and try to sell some extra stuff off so you can make some cash so that you can keep collecting for 24 to 30 years, whatever. I think I'm at 30, almost 30. Next year I'm at 30 years of collecting, hardcore collecting. But anyway, it could be your evening after you get off work in 12, 15 hours and 3 or 4 hours trying to list a few things because you want to list it properly. But they don't have the time. That's the number one reason. They don't have the time, and they're back to work, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and their job's paying well enough they don't need to sell their collection. So they can keep their collection, and they can pay their bills. So why bother? The next reason is low demand for some of their items. A lot of people collect the way I started collecting, the way, well, just most people collect. You go out and you buy the stuff that you remember, that gives you the feels. That feels good, that you like the most. That's the most common stuff out there. Most people get the memories, the member berries memories from the common stuff. And guess what? People that have been collecting in the game for a while have the common stuff. The common stuff starts piling up. Times like this, prices start falling. Instead of getting $125 to $150 for a figure from Centurions, people can't sell them for $75. I'm just saying. Same thing with Visionaries. Now, Visionaries is a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. And you're going to see this with every toy line. And even Centurions, I could go dig a deep dive into that. But it's easier with Visionaries because there's only one. Really. I mean, there's a couple. All the drivers are more expensive, like you see with Feral. But you can get pretty much any figure now for a reasonable price. I mean, I'm seeing people selling complete figures in great shape with decent decals for $25 each, which is half of what I paid for mine. Then we get into Recon, and I was buying Recons in 2020 for about $100 each. And I'd get one with a sword, one with a helmet, and then I'd piece together a few complete ones. So I guess you could say complete ones did cost me $300 back then, but then I'd still have a figure left over, and just, it is what it is, and do other things with it. But with that, Regan spiked up to about $500 a figure and was selling. Now he's down to about 300 complete, 350 complete, something like that. It just depends on when he pops up and who's willing to sell it. By the way, whenever you buy or sell something, when a transaction's made, that's when a seller's willing to drive to the post office. The price is high enough, they'll drive to the post office, but the buyer's feeling like they got a good deal. So, I mean, somewhere in the middle, you got to meet in the middle. Buyers want to get a good deal. Sellers want to get the most out of their items. But looking at this here, this is Kenner Superpowers with the Cyborg. Cyborg is one of the most rarest, valuable figures. But I want to show you, there's just so many of them on the market. Like, I remember in 21 and 22 and part of 23, you couldn't find 5 at a time, and now there's easily a dozen. But that's because people are trying to cash in. I mean, viewing it, we're not at the top of the market anymore, guys. The market has fallen, so good time to buy stuff like this. I got mine for $333 complete with a little bit of chromeware that I could live with. Same thing with Yak Face. Now, Yak Face is another strange one. You can get that one from, there's one in here on this picture that says it's from Spain for $380. Because I bought mine in decades ago for about $100. But at that time, I could have bought them for about $100 to $150 all day long. And I saw some auctions in for $25 to $40 in the late 90s. So it's one of those things that has definitely gotten more expensive over time. But with this guy here, so one of the other problems is people can't get their hands on stuff like this to resell or to sell it. And people like myself, like I only have one authentic original Yak Face. I don't want to sell that. And I refuse to sell that. So the people who are selling want a lot of money. By the way, there's an auction for a coin starting at $500. My buddy bought one for like $125 years ago, and I thought he was insane. And I guess there's a fine line between insanity and genius. Yeah, he was genius. Last reason sellers are quitting. Let's get into that. All right, here we go. 1099K, I don't really have much to say about this because I've said everything that any human being can talk about it. I believe I am the single largest voice about this issue in the past. But resellers don't want to come back. Let me tell you about resellers not wanting to come back because of the 1099K thing. Now that's restored, freedom has been restored to the land and prosperity for sellers. There you go. You can enjoy your 20,200 transactions as it once was and were restored. I have to say this though. People have been burned and then now they're working their full-time job. They have other things going on. They don't have 100 hours to take the pictures, to list it, and make sure that they do not make a mistake or they're financially destroyed on that item because someone's going to want to return it and there you are, $70 in shipping just thrown out. If you fight it, you lose. By the way, if you fight it and lose, you lose the eBay fee. eBay keeps their fee instead of refunding it back to you. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that. And I didn't even get into people quitting because of crappy buyers. Because crappy buyers in the collector space, it's less than 1%. I mean, in all reality, I still have dealt with a couple of issues. It's less than 1%. So, that is what it is. But this is another major thing. They don't trust that once they put 100 hours worth of work in listing stuff and they do a whole bunch of stuff and spend all their free time selling stuff, then they're going to get a 1099 on and have to prove that they've lost $8,000 this year. I mean, it's ridiculous. Lost $8,000 because they bought it for 100, only could get 40 out of it on their 89 items, something like that, less than 200 items. All right, so I guess this could have had its own video. We could have just done this as its own video, but too bad. It's going to be a long video then. Texas starts taxing seller fees on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy. Let me explain this to you. I guess we'll mansplain this here. Let me pull this up. Starting today, Texas will collect sales tax on fees online marketplaces charge sellers. Buyers already pay sales tax on their purchases. This new levy falls on listing fees commissions and other platform charges, including shipping. Combined sell and shipping. The policy change stems from a reinterpretation of a state law. Former comptroller Glenn Hegar. Here's the deal. They are looking to get as much money as they can, and I'll explain this here in just a little bit. And what it is if your fee, so let's say eBay charges you for the whole year, you sell $5,000 and they charge you 15%. Yeah, so let's just say you sell $5,000, $750 is your fee to eBay, then you're gonna pay times 0.0825, $61 in taxes to Texas as a sales tax collected. And here's how it's also going to work. eBay's taking care of all of it. They're just going to pull more money out of your sale to cover this. That's how it's going to go. If you're a Texas seller. Why is it a deal? Why is it an issue? Because Texas sellers are going to start getting burned, and they're not going to give you as good a deals. They're not going to have as low prices. But other states will go, I think that's a really good idea. Let's start doing that also. All right, so one of the reasons that Texas is doing this is because they do not have income tax. There's no income tax in Texas. They have less revenue because of that, but they make it up in other places. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit, but it's part of the reason it's going on there. So I could say if your state doesn't charge income tax, they might do this. I don't see it happening in Oklahoma, but then again, I didn't see us having to pay sales tax on online purchases, so that sucks. That actually halted me. When they started charging sales tax on online purchases, I slowed down in 2019, the year before the toy boom. All the stuff I was buying in 2019, like I slowed it. I could have had it all knocked out in 2019 and then saved thousands in taxes, but it is what it is. Property tax is higher in Texas. That's another thing. Like, you got to think about the counterbalances of they don't have state income tax. They have higher property tax. And now they're the only ones taxing your eBay fees. It's crazy. And I got this from watching other resellers that this is the kind of stuff they hit it really fast. They're there like the minute it happens. Oklahoma, on the other hand, like you see where the average is like $2,200 in Texas, it's $796 here. This is one of the cheapest states to live, so if you want to live cheap, go to Oklahoma. If you want something fun to do on Friday night, you'd better do it online. No, I'm just kidding. We got the Oktoberfest coming up this week. All right, so let me know what you guys think about all of these. Is any of this stuff helpful to you? Do you have any of your own tips for buying, getting good deals? Do you have any stories to share about quitting selling online? And do you know anything about this Texas situation? Are you in Texas? Is this going to affect you? Because it's already in place. Like, subscribe. Hit it, hang out.